Well, hey now, howdy. Everybody, welcome to our first episode of Ranger Things, a monthly podcast focused on the first 100% community-based organization on the WildRP server. The Saints Crossing Ranger Corps, that's us. To give a little background on the Rangers, our bread and butter is currently in search and rescues. We're also usually expert hunters and have vast knowledge of the entire crossing when it comes to animal hunting grounds, predator dens, locations of herbs, and more. I'm ArmoredAndy, your host, and I currently play Head Ranger Buzz Buxton on the server. It has taken me a long time to work up in the ranks in character, but all the hard work in roleplay has yielded extraordinary results, at least for me. My development as a role player, my mission, I guess, for goal setting for characters, and things like that. And since this is our... Oh, you got your notebook ready? Oh, boy. Since this is our first night in the woods, and it is our goal tonight to dig deep into the history of the Rangers, I would like to welcome Kono, one of the main administrators of the WildRP server. You can see his server development streams over on his Twitch channel, which is Kono5Alive. If we could get a shout out for him, that would be fantastic. Welcome, Kono.
Hey, how you doing? By the way, I barely stream, so you can go over there and you can hang out in an empty channel.
But when you do, everybody's watching. It's so amazing. People go nuts for it.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a social meter that I reach. So after like 2 hours, and if I'm trying to program them on stream, I never get anything done. Let's be honest.
That's fair. You love showing things, though. I mean, it's when you're proud of it.
I'm also eating right now, so I apologize.
No, hey, nourishment is key. That also goes out to everybody else in there. If you guys haven't had anything, haven't had water or a bite to eat or something in a while, here's your chance. Go do it. Please nourish your bodies. Now, you've been on the server for much longer than I have, and I'm coming up on 2 years in about April. So for those that don't know, how long have you actually been involved in Wild? Did I do that while you had a mouthful of food?
Yeah, you did.
Shit.
It's all right. No, so actually I founded the server. So I've been here for, I don't know how long it's been now, 3.5 years, 4 years, 3, I don't know. It was like a 6 month to 8 month process before we even opened the doors for like a beta. So I'm trying to think of how long it's been live. How long has we been? Anybody know? How long have we been live for years? It's probably been about 3.5 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I founded it with another guy. They're no longer with the project, but yeah, I just wanted to make a cool roleplay server, and here we are.
What was the inspiration? Like,
well, it started kind of just with boredom. I was I was bored of playing every other game. My nightly Hearthstone grinds were just, so I just wanted something else to do. So I started looking into game development. I've been professionally developing for like websites and software development for 21 years now. And I just wanted to get into game development because it's a lot more interesting, more fun. And I just started doing it on the side, learning Unity, learning Unreal. And then, I don't know, I just got an inkling. I was watching a GTA stream and I was like, I could make a server like that. I could make a better server. and then I was going to make a GTA server, but the same day I decided to do that, Red M came out. And luck of the draw, because that day it came out, I just dove right into it and started, learning everything and researching everything like everybody was doing from the ground up. And really just on a whim. It was just boredom and wanting to just make something fun. I also missed role playing. I hadn't role played in a few years, and I just really wanted a place that, this is going to sound bad, but I guess was up to my standard.
That is totally
what I
fair.
wanted to see in roleplay, which isn't a lot to ask for. It's really just people reciprocating with each other. That's all I really want. Not trying to take advantage of each other, not trying to get a win. It's not about the win. It's about the story. And that's really all I wanted, is people to come together to tell a story. Because I felt personally that a lot of the role play that was becoming popular and was popular from a viewing experience was a lot of, the high action and I guess a lot of the looser role play kind of that was going on. And that's fine. And that's dandy. And I like that too. I like watching that too sometimes. But for me as a role player, I like involved in-depth stories. I like character growth. I like having emotional moments. I like having happy moments. I like having awesome, aggressive moments. I like all of the whole spectrum. So it's like all I want to do with people is tell a good story and wrap somebody into mine and let them wrap me into theirs. And that's where it all kind of came from as a mentality.
It almost seems like it was written where the day you started thinking about making a GTA server that Red M came out, like, just think there could have been if Red M was delayed by a day or something, it could have just, we'd be playing in GTA and not RDO or Red Dead.
Yeah, maybe that's a big possibility.
I'm very grateful then that Red M came out on that particular day. So you mentioned previously role playing. What other mediums or what other either in games or pen and paper? What else did you used to role play?
I started back in 1992 in Diablo 1 chat rooms on Battle.net doing text role play. It expanded beyond that into just random stuff. I mean, hell, I even RP'd on Sims Online. Let's be real. Just random games and random RP, and then I think more into the 2000s, later 2000s, etc., 2010s. We started getting like games that really, really more supported that. The very big first one I started role playing in was Life is Feudal. That was a whim thing too. One of my friends hit me up and was like, "Yo, we could pretend to be hot chicken salesmen in knights in shining armor and run around and try to con people out of their keeps for baked chicken." And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "I have a great idea. We're just gonna be Monty Python." And I was like, "Okay." So we did it, and we went into the server, and him and I were having a blast, having a ball, and doing, walking around and be like, "Lord, my sir, where's your baked chicken?" Doing all those kinds of things. And these people were they were like, "What?" Like, what? I remember the first interaction we had, we walked away from these people and they were just like, did you hear those guys' voices? They sound like your NPCs. And I was just like, that was my first like foray into like kind of the voice RP. And I just sent it, I didn't care. And it was like, from that moment, I was like, I talked to my friend. I was like, we could make our own server. We could do like an RP PvP thing because we both liked it. We like the PvP and the competitiveness of it. So we could do an RP, and it lended itself really to that environment because you have swords and bows, and let's be honest, you can't just roll up on somebody and two tap them. You have to run at them, and you kind of know what the intent is if somebody's running at you with the sword out.
Oh yeah.
So it really, really, really worked really well. Intent was really easy to telegraph in that game, so we didn't have a lot of rules, which was really awesome. Actually, was probably one of the best communities I ever had. It started with not to say Wild is amazing and it is the best, but it was one of the best for a long time because it was one of the communities that I led where I didn't have a rule set. I was just like, you get in here, it's all about RP and it's all about PvP. There is competitive in this, but we're here for RP first, and everybody just kind of just bought it, and there was no rules about you can do this, you can't do that. We just hope people work together, and really weirdly enough, without a rule set, everybody worked together. Very weird. Very weird. But then we moved into GTA, and I don't know. That's where I kind of fell in love with roleplay in general, with like voice acting and doing all that stuff. And I played an old grandma, a gangster grandma that would walk around, and I had my crew with me, and we.
You still have the voice?
It was just it was like Dr. Girlfriend. I mean, this is what it's. I'm probably gonna do a character that sounds like this on Wild at some point. But,
I can't wait.
She would do all the officers that were, oh my God, Officer Strong Arms, please arrest me. So like she was very lewd. But I had a blast with it, and I enjoyed it, and it was kind of the first real foray into like full story, where we didn't care about PvP. I never shot anybody like on that character. I never had to. I could just talk my way out of things, or if I needed to, somebody else would shoot him. I never had to fire a gun on that character. I don't think I ever did. But it was just a lot of fun. And then, that kind of died out. And like I said, that's where Wild came out after a few years after that. It was just kind of like, okay, where do we go? I want to do something.
That is so fantastic. I mean, I know there are plenty of people in the chat right now that are just so grateful you went that direction when Red M became available. According to Zaz, it should be 3 years in 4 months that the server's been around. And also, Sarah would like to know what it is you're actually eating.
Pot roast with broccoli, carrots, and French fries. Weird combo, but it's good.
Delicious. So, harkening back to the Rangers, what do you recall of their formation? I've done research. I've DM'd a bunch of different people to kind of get the history, and most of the people are. Think first. What I heard was it was a drunken discussion on a porch where there were two guys, and one of them it started as a discussion over protecting the bison. Yeah. It started over protecting, I guess it might have been right outside Valentine, the bison that are over by the ranch, by the train tracks. They said, they were like, we need to protect those. And it spawned from there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, because I wasn't, heavily involved in the beginning of it, I obviously don't know the exact nature of how it formed, but I can tell you from, a staff perspective, 2 members of our staff, Shake and Hanny, that played Buzz and Virgil, they were just trying to make role play, and they were like, we're gonna be Rangers and we're gonna go do this and that, and they just started doing stuff, and it kind of just started picking up traction. And we talked about it from staff, oh well, this is something we'll do eventually, but we'll let it kind of just ride out IC. And it did kind of start as a joke a little bit. It started kind of as a silly gag between 2 comedy characters, and other people started getting interested, and Hanny got overwhelmed. He was like, I have too many people telegramming me want to join. This is just a joke. And, and so, we realized it started getting traction. So we tried to, get people that were really interested in kicking it off to kind of help lead it IC, so that we didn't have to do anything OOC for it. And it would just kind of naturally kind of build itself up. But that's kind of where it did. And then, it became a state thing because we wanted to kind of start giving bets for it,
No, absolutely. And I kind of love just the idea of what most people would look at like a park ranger these days, at Yosemite, just knowing all the land, but what would have been the version of it back in the Wild West? This is a person that is a complete survivalist, knows every roadway, knows where all the animals like to hunt, or, things like that. And just to see it would be a nice examination of history, how they, over time, they kind of got dissolved just to these guys that stay in towers and watch for fires and things like that. But right now, this is the heyday of being a ranger.
No, we may give you fires to put out. You guys may become a fire department.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Just have to wait for fire to be networked.
We're gonna need
fires networked. I might just start random fires, and you guys.
We're gonna need. We're gonna need shovels to dig the trenches, so the fires don't keep going. Oh,
no! You guys will take your buckets, and you will just start pouring out the fire.
All right. Here's something. Here's an idea.
Have hoses here.
We didn't talk about this yet, but I was thinking one day when you guys brought out the hot air balloon, if there was a search and rescue in the area, that Buzz would commandeer it and take it so he could see from above if he could find the person.
Yeah, that's a funny thing you mentioned that. I would love to be able to give the Rangers something unique, and the hot air balloon could be something unique. The biggest thing I have a problem, it's kind of like the transit thing. We'd have to make it only drivable by a Ranger.
Fair.
Because they would be the only ones that would know how. Everybody else would probably just fail, and it would just whatever. I mean, in real life, if I tried to go to hot air balloon, I wouldn't know what the hell I was doing.
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
So
that's how Buzz ended up in Guarma.
Yeah. But that would be kind of cool to be able to do that. That's another idea you've given me. Right.
Oh, this is bad. So, for anyone that isn't aware, the Rangers are what I've heard, the first 100% community-based organization in Saints Crossing. And so, I guess maybe at one point you saw that it kept building up, but when was the moment that maybe admins noticed a need for such a group?
So I don't know if that ever really kind of there was ever really a jump into that, because like I said, I think right after it took off, like the moment it went from this was a joke to, oh god, people are interested, the responsibility kind of already was set in stone from an IC perspective of, you know, we need to be lawful. We need to be, I mean, it was looser back then because there was no like actual requirement, but the group itself, you know, we want to be lawful. We want to be able to help people and guide people. We want to be able to call the wildlife. And that just kind of organically came out from IC. That was the idea we had already from the get-go for the Rangers. You know, we did the law department, we had the health department, and then we have the newspaper. But the Rangers, you know, because it became, we didn't know, we weren't going to do it out the gate because we wanted to see kind of where the niche needed to be filled, but it filled itself, I see. And then that was already kind of what we were thinking of, what the, like you said, like park rangers, like what they would do. Because you don't want like two factions of law, right? You want them, so it has to be different. It has to be something that is, their responsibility is different, so it takes the load off of others, and hopefully it's fun doing that responsibility. But as we saw, people enjoy, even without the mechanics that we had back then, people still enjoyed doing those things and feeling a sense of pride, you know. So I don't think there was really ever a point where we jumped and said, oh, okay, like, you know, this you know, we should do something. It was just, we're gonna let this go for however long it needs to. And then the only time that I guess that line crosses when I started saying, oh, okay, you know, we probably need to do these things because I'm building all these mechanics for things, and you know, if they're putting a service out, they really should be part of the government, and they should be paid, and they should get some stuff for it. So we have to put it under the government wing, you know?
Yeah. Agreed. And I was lucky to be there when, I guess, the whole kind of shift of it, when they went from kind of self-organized to a state-run organization. And that must have come with some challenges on your end. Like, do you have like any specifics there, or?
Yeah, I think, well, there's a better person to ask for that kind of headed up the whole transition. But I think it was kind of easy, to be fair, because a lot of the standards had already been set, I see, and a lot of the expectations had been set, and the leadership was already set at that point in time for the transition. Like, I think Tavish was, or maybe was it Tavish, or was it
Maybe
his
Vincent?
other character?
Oh, Roy.
It might have been Vincent.
Roy.
It might have started with Vincent, and then it moved on to
Roy.
To Lacuna's other, yeah, to Lacuna's other character, Roy. You know, we had good leadership, I see, that was able to kind of help already push this when it became a government organization. So the transition period really wasn't that tough. I think the biggest thing to get around is people were like, oh, now we have to be lawful. Like, we can't get away with like not having a good relationship with the law or not doing that. You know, like, you kind of have to be. That was probably the biggest challenge, is getting the Rangers mentality, the characters mentality of, this is a real job now, right? This isn't just some thing. Like, this isn't just some club. It's a job, and there's expectations to that job, right? I think that was the only struggle.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot can happen in the woods when when people aren't looking, and Rangers spend a lot of time out there. So it is extremely tempting, at least I know from a lot of other players, to that you have the chance to be unlawful, but eventually, story-wise, like, if the story is right, it'll come back to haunt you. So so as they became state-run and you guys started developing different mechanisms in the server for the Rangers, what can you highlight any of those in particulars that that you guys are most proud of too?
Well, the whole cry for help and search and rescue features, I think kind of changed the game for you guys.
Oh, totally.
Before, you had no idea that somebody was out there. I mean, I don't even know what you guys did before that. What did you do?
There used to be.
I don't even remember.
I know, like, if people would go out alone, I know Rangers would always recommend telegram your friends. And then I'm assuming there would be some kind of little, Discord message that's, in spoiler text saying, this person hasn't made it back yet. And that's all, it's a little RP hook, which I think is like, oh, that's great. So then these people start we'll then go to the Rangers and say, well, they said they were going to go fishing up at Owengila. And so it's like, all right, well, let's muster the troops and get out there and see, where were they going from? They were going from Blackwater. So it's like, all right, so it would be this path, or this path. So we're going to go start looking everywhere in that area. But most of the time, yeah, a lot of it was just random. It was just randomly finding people because you'd always be out on patrols.
Yeah.
So.
I think, now that you're saying that, I think I do remember a lot of the time it was because somebody would come into town and be like, my friends have been missing for 3 hours. And you're like, okay.
A lot longer to wait.
Look. But yeah, I think, the cry for help features, I think the really the biggest one. I know obviously Box is very proud of his Ranger towers that he's given you.
Yeah.
And he's done an amazing job with that. And he's really in tune with, Box is really good about world building because he's really in tune with what places need and how to work with us in how to balance things. He's very much he thinks about the whole perspective. He doesn't just go in there and just start placing things down. He's very good about understanding like where things should be and why they should be, and when he's building, so he doesn't have to go back and like delete something that we're like, oh, oof, we don't want that there.
Somebody just set it up as their house 5 days ago.
Hit it out of the park every single time. So I'd say, the Ranger Towers and the Cry for Help are the two big things I think are pretty amazing. What do you like?
Oh, definitely the call for help. Even when it was just Big Valley, it at least still broke it down. It broke it down from the rest of the crossing. But now getting such detailed areas as southeastern Big Valley, southwestern Big Valley, south central Big Valley, which I think is it's a real shady part of Big Valley that we have to look out for. But the specificity, I think, in terms of a place that is a server that is roleplay based, it's like it's the act of it's generating story for the Rangers. And then we also have the chance to actually interject in someone else's story in terms of their rescue. And it gives a chance for them to either find us later and say thank you or even learn about us or something. But I absolutely love, and especially it's like if you're in cap somewhere, if you're incapacitated and you can't get up, you're not role playing. So of course it's going to get boring really fast. But the fact that these people can sit there and go, I think somebody's looking for me. And when they find me, this might be a story to tell to get other people into it and things like that. So that's what I absolutely love that. Especially the addition of the Ranger shop. That's huge. I know. I mean, it's not like, Buzz has plenty of money in the bank, but it's fine. I like, it's something for, new people in the poncho to look forward to. I love that. Just the aspect of being able to now know these specific different areas. And I know a few Rangers are thinking of generating, a map of all the different places people have gotten hurt to kind of be able to look at later. And I'm not like a probability person. I'm not a numbers guy, but to actually look back and go, all right, there's based on this map of all the people that have gotten hurt in the southeastern Big Valley, they're going to be here. And then going there and actually seeing the person there, it's like, wow. Because it could eventually get to that, and it would be pretty amazing.
Yeah, and I think with the specificity of the system now too, it really helps hone in on that. So you're not that's the biggest thing I wanted when we first put out the Cry for Help. It was super broad, and it still took you guys like an hour to 2 hours to find people on average. Like kind of after data gathering and everything, I kind of realized that it was just way too long. And that's an hour or 2 hours of them sitting down, not RPing like you said. Like I'm the type of person that doesn't care. I'm just like, if I'm down and I got to cry for help, I am putting on a TV show. I'm sitting back, I'm smoking a joint, and I'm waiting.
Yep.
I don't care. But I get that people are like, they want to role play. They have limited time. They want to do stuff. So it's like being down could be pretty detrimental, especially when you're alone, or especially if you're left somewhere alone. Yeah. And so now, I don't know. I haven't done the numbers, but would you say the average has kind of decreased somewhere to around 30 minutes now?
I would like to think so. On most areas, there are still some issues where if somebody's in, North Roanoke, and we're all the way down in the desert or something, it's still going to take us, 10 to 12 minutes just to get there. But I would say for most of them, yeah, it's under 30 minutes if there are rangers around. And then, yeah, I'd like to say so. Yeah.
That's good.
So
perfect.
Yeah. I guess too, like as the organization has grown, have the Rangers kind of surprised you in any way? Like maybe a lot of people maybe thought they were going one way and now they've actually evolved into a different direction, or?
Interesting question. Have the Rangers surprised me? I just think in general of how they function now, it really feels like I guess just the transition from the purely IC driven and then now to, it's government run or state run, whatever you want to call it. I think that transition, what surprised me is just how fluid it was and how it really feels like a staple of the community. It really feels like something that's needed on the server and is valuable, and people are actually interested, right? They're actually interested in joining. You're getting new people all the time. You're getting people that are interested all the time. And, there may be other ways to continue to drive that engagement and to drive that interest in it as well. But I think just at the base level what we have now, I'm surprised just how much interest has really evolved around it. And I think that is because of the purpose. A lot of people in RP will try to find purpose. And I think that, getting a job, so to speak, in RP can give you purpose. And I think the Rangers have a very, what's the word? Kind of like a free-going kind of way about them, where there's still obviously restrictions, but it's a lot, if you don't want to be as serious and, as law and do these things, and that's fun. A lot of us have fun doing that. But if you don't want to do that, if you want something a little more light, if you want something a little bit more conversational, right? Like you guys probably have tons of conversational RP while you're just riding around. If you want that relaxed kind of feel, the Rangers are perfect, I think, right? You get in intense situations and you have those moments, which is awesome because you need those. But I think you guys have the job that you have is on the server, the responsibility, it is more in the relaxed realm, if that makes sense. So it can be, for those players that like that, it can be something that's really interesting. And I think that's pretty cool that it's evolved kind of in that, that style. Because like I think all the different avenues of jobs that we have, so to speak, they all have different feelings and different slots that they fit into, depending on what you want and what you're looking for. And I think the Rangers have their own niche, and that's awesome.
I think so, yeah. Like in terms of if you're going out on a search and rescue, it could be conversational as you're getting there, but once you get to the location, it's a matter of, all right, we put our heads down, we focus, we do the job, we get them out, and then it's back to kind of conversational and learning about it's if you want to think of it in terms, I wouldn't say like hippie mentality, but I like to think of the Rangers being the medium between civilization and the wild. And there are going to be people that are more, I guess, city acting, but then there are going to be a lot more that are forest acting, that are much more in tune with the land and all that stuff. And so it's a wonderful.
I wish it was okay to say hippies. I see. My new deputy marshal I'm bringing in would totally call you all hippies.
I can't wait. But no, it does feel like that, and it's at this turn of the century moment where technology is starting to completely take over, where these people knew how to survive, how to survive out in the wild for days, weeks on end if needed. But eventually there's going to come a time where you could just bring things with you and you never have to worry about, never starving or not being able to make a fire, that kind of thing. And so it has been to see kind of where they've come. I did notice on my end, once I came up as head ranger, there were some restrictions, but they were story based, which I was fine with. Where it was like, you can't go into tall trees unless you have two rangers, if there are 2 or 3 rangers. And I'm like, yeah, but then we run into an issue.
But...
Yeah. Or it's like
I feel the same way.
Yeah. It's like
people can tell me anything to do. I see, but like, you know what? Like I'm the type of person that puts myself in situations too, be on the back foot, so I'm gonna do it. Sorry.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. And I noticed there was even an instance where it's like no recruits can go to tall trees on their own, even on a patrol. But there was one time where there were no rangers around. There was one ranger recruit, and there was one cadet in Strawberry. And somehow the cadet heard, or it was a lawman. And the lawman saw that there was a missing person in tall trees. So they went down to the recruit and they said, hey, I don't really know tall trees that well. Do you know tall trees? Can we go together and hopefully find this person? And if you think of it in terms of or in terms of the role play, in terms of giving people role play, if they said, I can't because according to the Ranger Handbook, I'm not allowed to go out with a lawman. So now that lawman goes out on his own, gets hurt. So now there's two people missing in tall trees, and the Ranger recruit has no idea that there's a missing person in there, a second missing person. Or they go together, they find the person, they get him to safety, and it's something off the list. And so I looked at a lot of those and I was like, yep, we're ditching that, we're ditching this, we're ditching this. Like I tried to go around and gut as many of these restrictions as possible, because we are supposed to be masters of the land. We're supposed to know every nook and cranny of the crossing, and we shouldn't be scared going out on our own, because that's the adventure. That's the journey. You know, there have been times I found 3 people downed. Yeah, I found 3 people downed at once. And the adventure of having to get 3 people back to town when it's just one ranger, it's extraordinary. It's so that's the like those are the challenges I love, let alone just the puzzle of trying to find like a needle in a stack of needles if somebody's in Big Valley, you know?
Right.
So.
Like my complaint is like basically like I think what we I gotta word this very carefully. I think what we try to do sometimes is we as people, when we're role playing, sometimes we put restrictions that are a little bit too real life, not enough suspension of disbelief. Too much. What would my character really do? That's not good role play. We should follow what your character should do, but you shouldn't always do that, because sometimes it's better for the role play to not always do that. And my point to this is that with those restrictions, like a better restriction, not a restriction, but a better advice would be in that handbook. Hey, right now, Tall Trees is full of cannibals. It is a very dangerous place. Here is why you need to be aware of. Here's what you need to do. If something has to go down there, you be absolutely careful.
Yeah.
And that's the warning, right? And that's it. That's the only restriction. You're not saying you have to bring 2, you have to bring 4. And this is a little bit of a complaint, and I love my law players. We do that in law too. And sometimes I'm like, I get it. I totally get it. But like we used to say, you can't have people, you shouldn't be stationed in Armadillo. There's too much going on there. It's just too dangerous. It's stupid. You'd be stupid. It needs some love. Town needs some love. There's dying people of cholera there. You know, like it just, you know, I think having alerts and warnings is better than restrictions. I think restrictions sometimes can create a stonewall in RP, and it kind of stifles some things.
Yeah.
I get why they happen, and I get why people and players and characters feel that way. But I do think if we kind of have to sometimes use we have to mix our IC and OOC brains, and sometimes think OOC about something and go, does this really make sense for the role play? And is this good for the role play? What is better for the role play? And that's what I do when I play my characters. I follow what they would do, but sometimes I go, what is better for the role play? Like, here's a great example.
Agreed.
A lot of people will tell me in character right now, Benny, do not duel him. That is dumb. Why would you duel him? You were gonna die. Why would you duel him? Stop doing that, Benny. Don't do this. Why are you taunting him, Benny? Don't. Because it's good for the role play. Because it creates the thing that I'm looking to seek out, and that is what we need to do. Is it silly from an IRL perspective? Absolutely, but it's not IRL, and I'm trying to tell a story, and not every story makes sense, right? There are some things we have to do to suspend disbelief. So I put myself in those shoes of always, what's going to be better for the role play in this situation, right? That's just kind of how I think.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that I'm 100% right with that, or I don't make mistakes on the front and go too far with that. I do. I mean, nothing's ever perfect. I think the best of that is the best of both worlds in that, but that's hard to achieve anyway. So.
Agreed. There was do you remember the moment when we found Patty at the house outside Emerald Station? And
yeah.
For those that don't know, there was someone being tortured, and we just 4 Rangers happened to be on a patrol, and we roll up on Benny, played by Kona, And he instantly says, man, what I would give right now to deputize you and deputize you and deputize you and deputize you. And guys, I was a fraction of a moment away from DMing Kono and saying, just do it. Just do it, baby. We're ready. Just for this moment.
But I found that middle ground, and I got away with what I could let you do. It let you be part of that role play. I was like, you guys can sit here, you can watch. I want you to I want you to be, if anything happens, you can help defend me. But until that happens, I need you to sit here and watch me do this.
Yep.
You know?
Oh, I was so ready to hide behind trees and just watch you wave your hand and all four of us shoot weapons from different areas just so they think they're surrounded. That would have been super great. But hey, we were still there. We got to help Patty. We got to report back and forth. We got to telegram. We got to find law, that kind of thing. So I love rolling up on situations like that. I absolutely love it. No, it's been
good memories.
Yeah, it's been.
It feels like it was so long ago, Ben.
Doesn't it?
It feels like when I was still stuttering too.
Yeah.
God.
That was ages ago.
Those were the days. Now look at me. I'm a vigilante.
But I guess. Oh, see, I didn't know that. Well, I mean, Buzz doesn't know that, but he knows that Benny went out on a couple search and rescues with Clementine, which was kind of cool.
Yeah. I did help her
that.
yesterday. We went around. We didn't find anybody because everybody was quicker than us, but we had a blast. So, and I mean, that's just my character. He's a good guy. He's just tormented, and he wants to see, quote unquote, real justice in the world, which is vengeance.
Yep.
But if you're a good person and you're a nice person, he is going to be the most gentlemanly person you've ever met in your life. You know, and that's the way he's like. Again, it's like that. I do it for the story. It's like I originally wanted Benny to be another really lawful good character that I was going to play, but I just went with the story and I let it drive him. And really where he's at now, it's just, there's really he's more chaotic good. There's no, like, the lawfulness to him kind of went out the window because he realizes that there's still good things you can do that aren't lawful. And there's a lot of people getting hurt. Someone needs to do something, Yeah. And I still play that whole thing IC because I'm aware that I'm not trying to take anything away from the law. So I tell everybody, even IC, and I make this a point. It's just kind of me from an OC perspective. I make a point on Benny to say to people, I respect the law. I respect what they do. I will never get in their way if they're doing something. But if they're not there, I'm doing something. And then I'll turn myself in. So.
That is absolutely fair. Well, that's the thing too. I always thought it started to get a little bit blurry if there was excess vigilantism. So I'm assuming over time, if it's paced out, it's tasteful.
Paced.
Yeah. It's not
most of my story focus is on one group.
Yeah.
Of people that have tormented him. However, like, it may turn into going after, but it may turn into going after other groups or other people because they've hurt people, and other people are kind of asking Benny, hey, I see that you're kind of crazy now. Could you help me? I've already had people say that to me, basically. Hey, Benny, you've kind of lost your shit. You want to go kill somebody for me? And I'm just like, oh, okay. But, it is something that I'm very careful about because we don't want to take away from law, and I don't want vigilantism to take away from law. So I have to make sure it A, makes sense for story, B, there's some weight behind it, and C, I'm willing to take any consequence for it, but I'm also willing to pace that out so it's not like it's an every day, every week thing.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. It builds up to this great big moment of vigilantism, which then has the ripple effects over time down the road. So, speaking of all these different qualities we're noticing and all the different characters are coming across, we're hitting the lightning round, guys. But we can still pace this out as long as we want. What qualities do you think make up a good ranger? Especially after seeing Clementine yesterday.
I think she did great. I don't know, being hard on herself, but she's being great, man. She knew exactly where to go. She knew the places to check. She took advice. Not advice, but like, what's the word? Suggestions. God, my favorite word. She took suggestions, and it wasn't like, oh, I know, but it was like, it was very casual anyway, but I think overall, what makes a good ranger is, I guess just what makes also any like a good lawman, a good medical person, a good newspaper, a good civ, just really understanding what your role is and for your character what your job is, like what you're there to do, right? I think for a character as a ranger, what makes them good is somebody that is willing to explore, willing to have a little bit of adventure, willing to care about other people because your job is to put other people first. You're putting yourself into a dangerous situation to go save somebody. So there's a lot of selflessness in that job, and patience is a big thing. I think as a ranger, you have to have patience because, as you've seen, because of the restriction of lawfulness, you sometimes are on the back foot more often than not, and you have to be okay with that. From an OOC perspective and IC, you just kind of have to be okay with that. So it takes a lot of patience.
Absolutely. We don't, it's like most people think, oh, you just go into bear dens to go find people that are hurt. It's like, no, we sometimes are going out in 2s or less or 3s into enemy, like villain territory that these people just hang out all the time and are waiting to pick you up. Or the best part on a search and rescue, like you got, as in terms of patience, you have to go slow because, we technically, I look at the little team speak delay where when somebody shows up, there's maybe like 3 to 4 seconds before you can actually hear each other. So it's like you got to go at a snail's pace, which means anybody can ride up on you.
Don't worry, they'll go away soon.
Yeah, immediately go to rob you.
Very soon.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
God. No more team speak.
But we it's elements like that. It's like, we pretty much go out there and we're prepared. I'm not saying like prepared to be like, crim fodder, but it's the price we pay in order to be, I guess, good people or being talk about the epitome of being selfless. It's like we are throwing ourselves to the lions to try to find someone while not getting attacked by animals or people. So it's fun. Oh, I love it. Like anytime people I need to start doing this in terms of Buzz, like reminding people when we get back, it's like, that's a reminder. We didn't get robbed. None of us got killed. It's like, because we're good, because we're ranger, we know what we're doing, and maybe we're lucky, but it could happen again. Every time you go out, you got to be ready. So definitely. Now, when you first started diving into Red M and the game itself, what was your favorite place? And once you got your own server, so you could actually go wherever you wanted, what's your favorite place on the map to explore?
Oh God.
Not saying you've spawned in as an eagle on the server while it's live and flown around, but
yeah, I never do that. Sure. That random bird you see flying around sometimes is me. Well, gosh, my favorite place to explore. I don't know. It kind of really depends on what character I'm on, because every character I've played has a different spot that means something to them. So on Weaver, I really loved, that the house that's outside of Blackwater that has a big windmill. Like that area in general, I loved it. I loved just sitting on the windmill and watching everything that happened around the Great Plains. On Benny, I love Owangia. I love that lake. I love the forest around there, and story wise, I don't go over there anymore. It's just, it kind of just depends on what character. I don't really have I think the whole map is beautiful. My favorite town, it's gonna sound weird because I love it on Benny, but my favorite town in the game is Rhodes. No matter what, I love Rhodes. I love the atmosphere of it. At nighttime, it's beautiful. It's perfect. It's like the perfect size for a town.
Mm-hmm.
And even when we had the Rhodesians, the civilians that would play there all the time, it was booming. It was fun. Lively, and it's getting back to that way, which is great. And a lot of the towns are getting that way now with more players, which is awesome. But Rhodes for me is number one, the best place. I love everything about Rhodes, everything about the outskirts, and that's why I kind of made my character this time around. He was born in the Bayou, in Bayou Noir. He was born over there, so he's been here his whole life. So I just kind of try to integrate that character really into it because I really do love that area. But Sats in chat, yeah, Big L, he loves Sisika. I love exploring Sisika, even though I've seen every inch of it. It just really depends for me on the character I'm on.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, what I do love is that you are seeing pockets, like with the server getting to the size it is, which is also fantastic. I want to say it's one of the only 192 pop servers that I've seen that has such great role play and in a presence of people all the time. I'm loving seeing people making groups that will be civs that are just, I mean, what I did with Dolphy, he barely ever leaves Blackwater. Like, and there was a group of people that we all said, we're going to make Blackwater civs. They're going to be artists. They're going to be this. They're going to be that. And we're all just going to keep things focused right there. And, which he'll venture to Strawberry, then to Valentine. Yeah. Then right out to pick some,
We're friends.
Oh God. All right. I have to admit something right now. I was so terrified because that was the first time I played Dolphy drugged up in front of you as admin. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get banned. I'm going to get banned. Somehow I'm just going to say something right now because I know it's you. I'm going to get banned. And luckily I didn't, but
I don't know why everybody thinks I'm so scary. I'm not scary.
No, I know, but sometimes it's like, like if like somebody, if there's a person of authority near you, it's like, okay, don't say this, don't say this, don't say this. Oh shit, I just said it. It's that kind of thing. You just get worried.
I'm the most easygoing person, so I don't really care much about those things.
I'm absolutely loving that aspect where there's a group of people that all want to start. You can have deep, meaningful stories without even leaving town.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you ever do leave town, more adventures, of course. But that's something I'm loving. Like, especially when Coulter opened up in the frontier, like now there's people up there that I only ever see them up there. Rarely, I mean, they might drop down to Valentine to like go to the bank and deposit money or something, but then they're back up there again, And I absolutely love that you can still have these deep, rich stories without even having to literally, technically go out your backyard. And absolutely adore it. Kono's number 1 on the scary list. Yes. I'm shaking right now just talking to him. Okay.
I'm not Big L in real life. Okay. Listen to my voice. I don't sound like Big L.
What has been your most hated place to get incapacitated, to get knocked out?
Most hated place to get downed. Well, it happened to me. I cried for help, but nobody could find me because I was in the stupidest spot. God, there's a spot over by Leap of Faith. If you know where that is, it's over by Valentine. If you fall off the right side, you'll fall down by the road, but nobody ever goes down there. Ever. I waited 3 hours. I know.
Ooh.
They don't. They went above me. They went all the way off on the other side of the river. They never came over to me. Yeah, that's probably one of the worst spots because it's like you're kind of hidden and you're not really on a road, but you're kind of near a road, but it's really hard to see anybody there. Just kind of the cliff, like how the cliff is.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, we run into that too often, especially now with the frontiers open, with people falling off the mountains if they go into the heavy snow. What looks like to them, they're completely, they're uncovered of snow. Like there's no snow on their character, but to everyone else, you might see like the tip of a boot sticking out from the snow. And so you got to check every single place, but it's the journey. It really is, we get these mini adventures and thrown at us every day. Because that's at least the way I try to look at it, but me, I never look at it as work or anything. It's like, oh, here's a chance to learn, maybe meet someone I haven't, help them, make sure. I mean, granted though, Buzz 3 weeks ago found, I don't think it was his first corpse. He did find a dead person, which was like, oh, and you throw stuff out because it's like, well, I was the person to find him. I would like to be there for when he's buried and stuff to make sure that, this is my personal task that I put upon myself. I want to make sure, like I recovered him, but I want to make sure he's put all the way in the ground. And then it's up to the other players to kind of keep that communication going. So it's a handout. It's kind of like here's a chance. Keep me included. that kind of thing. Now, what advice do you have for people that get downed with the new mechanics and everything?
Patience. Don't cry for help, and then, once the timer's up, if they haven't found you, just revive. Don't do that. If you're gonna use cry for help, I probably should have just made it like, if you cry for help, you're gonna wait. But I didn't want to do that because it's too restrictive. But really, if you use cry for help, you should give them. Again, the average time is 30, but you have to be understanding that it may not always be that way, and sometimes they may find you a little longer, or it may not. But you have to give it time. I would give it an hour, or maybe an hour and a half before I decided to. I'm a little bit of a masochist, so I'll wait a while. I don't care. But,
well, that I would say,
I
yeah,
get that
like
people have limited time, but if you're gonna use the cry for help, and it's especially during a non-peak hour, you have to be patient. Have to.
Well, that
we
and
did talk about a feature idea earlier, didn't we? So
we did.
I have an idea of how to resolve that.
What we do also like is the fact of if we've been searching about 45 minutes to an hour, if the person does, and this is fine if they relog and do another cry for help, just to let people know that they're still out there.
Yeah, that's totally okay.
Yeah,
I mean, if somebody
'cause we
waits,
love that.
if you're waiting, 45 minutes to an hour and nobody's found you, and you just want to make sure that they know that you're still out there, it's totally okay to slash your log and then come back in and cry for help again.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, we love that because we know first that the person hasn't logged out for the night or hasn't respawned, and that they're still out there and they're willing to wait to get found.
Right.
So I absolutely adore that. So with when you did ride out with Clementine yesterday, what would you have changed anything to your loadout? Knowing you'd be out there searching for people for hours on end, what would you have in your satchel? And what kind of gun? What kind of things like that would you have?
Well, I mean, I just took what I had on me, but I had my shotgun in my Navy. I don't know. I guess it's hard. I haven't played a Ranger, and I don't know what. I guess for your loadouts, what makes sense. I mean, I know, especially with the recent gun balancing, who knows? I don't even know if bolt actions are good anymore. But I guess it's really, for me, it's always been personal preference. Like, I'm not a min-maxer. I just go with whatever either makes sense for my character to use if they have some attachment to something, or if it's, depending on where I am. And like, I would say before this, like when I was on like Law with Benny, obviously I'd have my repeater and I'd have, or the Lancaster, and then I'd have my Schofield. But now where I am, I don't know. A shotgun feels more appropriate, Punisher style. So I just use that. But it's, it kind of just depends. I really don't have a preference. I don't try to like meta what might be better than this or that, or why it's better. I don't care. I'm just going to use whatever I have or whatever feels appropriate for my character. Or if I, even, back in the past, I had characters that, had an injury or something and couldn't play or couldn't use like a long arm for a long time, and all I'd use is a pistol. So it really just depends for me, I guess. Hopefully that's a good answer.
No, absolutely fair. Absolutely fair. Now, let's go back to when you're incapped, when you're hurt, and when you've cried for help. Who would be your ultimate 6-person search and rescue party to look for your character? And this could be any character from the server, living or dead.
6 Buzz Buxtons.
No. God, they would just
6
talk to each
buzzes.
other the whole time. Yeah.
Be great. I don't know.
I guess in terms of evening out the part, like who would be there for the comedic relief, who would be there for the actual hunting aspect, or the finding, the detective work, who'd be there to cull the animals, that kind of thing. Who'd be there to negotiate if they ran into criminals.
That actually relies on me knowing a lot of the Ranger characters, and I
Oh no, this could be anyone. Law,
anyone.
medics, civs, villains.
I don't know how to answer this. This is so hard. mean, I don't know. I mean, yeah. I mean, if we're doing like the a 6, I guess. I mean, Buzz has to be included in there. Yeah, I think Buzz would be good for getting the lead on and getting everybody organized and where they need to go. Let's see. I would take CeeLo, just so he could call everybody jive ass turkeys. I think that'd be great.
6 Gavin Summers, APC.
I would take, let's see, Sheriff Banks, God rest his soul.
With or without the hands.
He could, without his hands, so he could yell at all the criminals and shake his stubs. If you guys run into anybody. See, that's 3. We need 3 more. Let's see. Pre-Weaver Danny Jackson, not pre-Weaver. Pre-Weaver Death Danny Jackson. Pre-Weaver Death Danny Jackson.
Love it.
She was an amazing ranger, and she would be like right next to Buzz, leading the pack.
6 gauchos, all on donkeys.
Gotcha. Yeah. Gosh, 2 more, huh?
How about a Crim? Who would be a Crim special guest? That maybe you found, like they found halfway through, and they're like, well, I respect this guy, but I'll still shoot him down anytime I see him, but I respect him, so I want him to live, so I could shoot him down tomorrow. Who'd be?
Oh gosh, let's see. It'd probably be, honestly, an older character. I don't know if he still has that character, but Hutch Vandal. Great. Box plays a really good Crim. I love Box on Crim. He's really good. Hutch Vandal was a great character. That'd be a funny Crim to run into. Trust me. Probably steal your belt like you stole mine. Let's see, the last one. You need somebody with medic experience. We'll go with Lark.
Oh,
Lark or Bianca.
Yeah. That is a fantastic. You made me think I gotta reword this question so that it actually it's so well rounded. That's a great team. That's like an episode in and of itself. That would be the content people are looking for, where you throw all these, because that's also been little things I've noticed where, like, if there are people that just don't like the Rangers, it's like, well, listen, I want to get one of your people in your group to go get isolated up like in the Eastern Frontier with a Ranger, and the 2 of you have to walk out together and survive and look out for one another. So maybe there's an understanding, there's a bit of respect at the end. People walk out of it, I guess, or understanding what each other do and why they do it. And then you kind of have like these little, broken off episode, like it's a little standalone episode that has like a nice bit of change in there. But that's just me.
I definitely agree.
Now, we're coming up on the end. What is your hope, Kono, for the future of the Rangers?
That they become firefighters. That you guys can go over a burning building in a hot air balloon and dump your buckets.
God, he's going to be named Buzz Buckets now.
Just to expand maybe on their responsibility that require. I don't think there's anything organically, unfortunately, that can come of that. I think it has to be something mechanical. But something like that, just to give a more rounded approach to responsibility. Not that you guys don't have enough already, but I don't know, just something to shake up the monotony a little bit sometimes, to give you something else that's not as frequent, I guess is the right way to call it.
Yeah, and I've noticed lately, I mean, given the holidays and then people, just real life schedule sometimes getting in the way, we were a bit slowed down in terms of recruiting and getting people going. And right now it's kind of a numbers thing, but the goal would eventually be to be able to put on, Buzz put on a Ranger run a year ago where it was all around the crossing and it was for big money, which was kind of cool. But to get into events again, do things like that, but also have enough Rangers that there's 2 or 3 that are willing and dedicated to stay behind to still do the search and rescues while other Rangers can be out doing more. Because right now I feel we're not people know who we are, but we're not in the public eye as much. You know, we pop up in town, drop somebody off for a medic, and then boom, we're back out again, that kind of thing. And so I'd love to get us out there and be a bit more social, or put on events and things that celebrate the crossing or particular groups of people, things like that. So I would absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. Or porches. Oh, well, that's all I've got. Have you got anything for me?
Oh boy. Well, I don't think so.
Hey,
Sorry,
no.
I wish I did.
No, that's great for me. I want to absolutely thank you for being our special guest on this first episode. I wanted you here especially just to kind of kick it off, because we're going to eventually start talking with, you know, just mostly other rangers. Maybe we'll get a you know, someone from law or the medics in here and there. But I really wanted to really get a foothold on the history of it and kind of be able to go all the way from the beginning to where we are now. And then there will be a couple, you know, diversions back to previous moments in Ranger history. But I just have to say, like, this has been a absolute pleasure, and being able to just roleplay as Buzz as a Ranger for this long has been, and to see all the changes, to see the support from the admin side, and the devs and all that, just looking out for us and saying, oh, this would be so cool for them. It has been absolutely amazing and mind-blowing. You know, I feel quite humbled. I feel extremely lucky to actually even be able to log into the server, let alone be able to use these mechanisms that you guys have worked for months on end for us to go find people and rescue them and have these story moments. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for, you know, doing all the hard work and keeping it going and enjoying it. I mean, that's really all. I mean, I really, at the end of the day, care about is if everybody's enjoying it, and, you know, you guys are having fun with it and liking where it's heading or liking where it's at, and that, you know, I pat myself on the back. We did a good job. But no, I really, I don't know. I thank you a lot for inviting me here, and you know, anytime you'd want me to come back, I'd totally do it. I'm just really happy.
I'll hold you to that.
You're very, yeah, you can. Yeah, I don't know. I just your enthusiasm for the Rangers and other Rangers that are players that have been in the community, that their enthusiasm for it is really what kind of drives it forward. So seeing that enthusiasm and seeing how excited you all get for things that come out, even when they're, you know, very minor, it's really heartwarming, and it really makes us feel like, you know, like the work we put into it is appreciated. And seeing you all enjoy it after anything goes into it for work is really the payoff. You know, just watching you guys get giddy for it or excited, you know, that's really where we get our jimmies off. You know,
God,
really
the second
I shouldn't say that.
the second the frontiers opened, oh by golly. I mean, granted, I had the sweatiest of like it usually takes a bit to get me, you know, jittery at the computer if I'm playing a game, but going up and down the glacier rocks, oh my God, I have never had sweatier palms in my entire life.
Yeah, Box definitely created a death trap.
It's fantastic. The best part is I know there are a couple of Rangers and a couple law that are really good at it. So I'm like, there you go. You guys go get them. Because I can't. I just don't have the coordination anymore to actually traverse that. I might be able to over time, but I would not trust myself going up there on my own to like go get people. Well, the worst part of it is you can't even carry them back out and then get them up. You have to get them up down there, and you all have to go together and hope no one falls again. That's the best. That's when I imagine you as an eagle flying over, just watching and laughing your ass off.
Well, I've seen some funny things. I've seen some funny things. I've watched the most horrific crashes sometimes. Yeah. That's right, guys. I'm always watching.
It's beautiful. I love it. Kono, thank you so much again, man. I really, really appreciate
Thank
this.
you. No problem. Like I said, anytime.
All right. Guys, how was that? Was that a good Oh, Kono, don't go anywhere. You have to you get to lead where we're going. Who are we gonna give some love to?
Oh. Let's look. Let us look. Who needs love? Well, I mean, is there a ranger streaming? I don't see one off the top. Maybe? No.
I don't think so, sadly.
Then what we'll do is we'll take somebody that has some low there, and we will just go eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch a tiger by his tail if he hollers. Okay. Well, there it is. We'll do that person. Amora XOX.
Oh, let me find them. Oh, there they are. Yeah. Broccoli Darby.
They're playing Broccoli. Yeah, Broccoli Darby.
All right, guys. Guys, thank you all so much for being here. Oh, they look like they're about. Oh no, they're in Strawberry. What are they doing in my town?
What are you doing in my town?
Kono, when do we get an Eagle's Eye Roundup?
An Eagle's Eye Roundup.
Oh, where you get to probably sit down and talk about all the different things that you've discovered in your flight.
Gosh, I wish I could. I mean, I've talked about this sometimes in staff chat, but nobody will let me do it for good reasons. But I've talked about, well, just let me turn on my stream, not even talk, just fly around, just in that way, I just observe stuff, and somebody will be like, well, like could be this, could be that, it might not be, and I'm just like, yeah, all right, I get it, whatever. But it would be fun to do the kind of stream like that and just have a stream where I'm just flying around. I don't even have to talk, just turn on some music and just fly around. Let people enjoy the world from a different perspective and get to see things going on.
Before we go, I do have the silliest suggestion, and it's never going to be a suggestion in the Discord, so I figured I would just say it to you, or it's just an idea. As a ranger, once a month, you would have, not maybe the ranger, but an admin would have to do it. If there was a person that has not been found and they're in like a really difficult spot, an admin would spawn in as a dog at the nearest town and try to bark at people to get their attention and lead them to the missing person.
So
it's up to the players. Like if somebody tries to kick the dog and like they kill it or something, it's like, oh well, there was a chance. That was that person's chance to get found,
Yeah, the biggest thing with those things I always think of is it requires somebody to do it, and that's hard to get. It's hard to get somebody to want to do that. That just, All
right, I'm applying to staff. It's done.
Well, I mean, there's other things too where it's like you don't want to overdo it because then everybody's like, well, we're playing animal.
Yeah.
So like you have to be real careful about the way that things are kind of put out. So that's why we don't do a lot of animal things as staff. Well, if there's a hunt or something, we may play foxes for people, or we may do other things like that. But we try to.
The almost siege of Blackwater. We didn't even get to talk about that, but my goodness, what a blast that was! And all the stuff building up to it. I was lucky to be involved in that, because I started staying up really late at night, but had an absolute, just being able to see little details building up, because it was at least a month and a half's worth of these wolves or these cougars going into town, different looking wolves, big bears, that kind of, and I ate it all up. I absolutely loved it. That was such a thrill.
Yeah, I think the last time we did a staff animal thing, I mean, other than me playing Blueberry in the prison, but I think Chell played, I don't remember the bear's name, Boo Boo? Boo Boo the bear? I can't remember the name of the bear. It was a circus bear, and it got loose in Blackwater, and it was funny. It was so funny. We had to stop people from shooting it.
Oh
They're
God.
like, oh my God, the bear, we're gonna shoot it. No, 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 don't shoot the bear.
No, leave it
Just
food.
stand
Leave it some
still.
food. Yeah. Oh, fantastic. All right, guys. Thank you again so much for hanging out for this first episode of Ranger Things. It is our goal to do it monthly, and we'll be getting different Rangers on, probably 2 at a time, having fun, having nice discussions about the current happenings in the Saints Crossing Ranger Corps. But until then, we are going to go over. Thank you, Zaz. We're going over to Amora XOX, who is currently playing Ginny Broccoli Darby. All right, guys. Thank you all so much. Take care, and we will catch you on the flippity. Bye-bye.
Bye.